Hey guys, Thiago Silva here. We bring you a new video today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about wave selection. It's very, very important to select the right waves you want to surf, to know exactly where to position yourself to catch those waves, just to make your session more productive. So I really recommend you guys to, once you get to the beach, just take 5 minutes just to watch the different sets coming, trying to observe where the wave kind of builds up. Uh, so once you're in the water, you can position yourself and just take much more out of this session. So normally there's different scenarios you can find once you get to the beach, okay? And also it depends a lot on not only the wind direction that day, the strength of the wind, also how the bottom of the beach you're surfing is actually made of, if it's a point break or if it's a beach break. So a lot of things are involved on how the wave actually builds and breaks and all the different setups you can actually find once you get to a specific beach. So, but we're gonna look at a few different examples of things you can observe from the beach, wave shapes you can observe from the beach. So let's have a look at the first example. The first example we bring you today is the A-frame wave. So the A-frame, there is a clear peak defined here in the middle. That's where actually the wave will start breaking first and have this A-frame shape. And this is quite common to find on point breaks. On some beach break, you can also find this A-frame. So it's a great wave to start with because you know clearly there's a defined peak and you have normally a wave breaking here and there's a face to surf to the left, but also a face to surf to the right. So your positioning to catch this wave is very, very important. So always you try to paddle and try to find that peak and from there decide if you're going to go left or you're going to go right. The second example of a wave you can find is this one where it's not an A-frame, but you can clearly see there is a peak that tends to drop to the left or a peak that tends to drop to the right. So always you find the peak where the wave is the highest. And the interesting thing is looking from the beach or even from the water when you're facing the wave, there's always a darker color where the wave is the highest. So normally these are the two different ways you can identify the peak. So normally it's the higher part of the wave, but also there's a darker color to it. So try to figure this out, try to find this out, and this will help you to select the wave. Okay, there's another example of a wave you can find, and these is actually more common wave. We find this wave more commonly on onshore days, so days that the wind is blowing from the sea to the shore, and you see basically there's not a defined peak. There is like a clean line. There's like there is a straight line that actually tends to close all at the same time. So we call this a close-out wave. All right. So these are the type of waves we want to kind of avoid taking because we know there will not be a face to ride after it breaks. So we tend to let these waves pass. Finally, there is another situation that often happens, which is there is like two peaks. Okay, there's like two peaks, and often I see some paddleboarders staying in between the peaks and catching the wave in between the peaks. So what happens here is if you turn left or if you turn right, basically the wave will close on you. So this is also something we would like to avoid. So always try to take it from the peaks, but never stay kind of in between two peaks because either you turn left or right, it tends to close on you and you don't have more face to ride. So now that we know how to kind of identify these waves, it's also important to commit to try to find the peak and try to catch the wave from that peak, right? And the thing is, I see many paddleboarders trying to catch the wave and just not looking to the sides, just tend to looking down to their board or looking straight at the beach. So it's important those few strokes just before you get on the wave to double check looking left and right before you actually commit to the drop. So instead of looking down, instead of looking ahead to the beach, try to do a quick check, make sure that you're gonna be turning to the right side and then commit and do the drop. So how do you exactly know if you're turning into the right side? So those few strokes before you take that drop, if you look left and right, you will normally see that one of the sides is actually steeper. Okay, so if I look to my left and I see that on my left side the wave is steeper than on the right, most probably the wave will start closing on that side first. So I know I need to take the wave to the right. Same happens if I look to the right side and I see that there is a steeper face on the right than there is on the left. I know most probably I have to take the wave to the left side. Also, what can happen, like the example I showed you before, if you're paddling into a wave, you're checking left and right, and you see that both sides look pretty steep, most certainly it's going to be a closeout wave. So instead of dropping that wave and just wasting energy because there will not be a face to ride, ideally you check and you kind of put the brakes on. So you put all your weight on your back foot and you avoid dropping that wave. Okay, this is especially important on those beach breaks. Sometimes that can be very strong and pounding because if you take one of these waves, you're just wasting basically your energy trying to paddle out back to the peak. Okay, guys, now that you learn how to select the right waves for you, it's time to get the practice on. Okay, so it's time to get in the water and let us know what you think about the tips we gave you. If you have any other questions, just get in touch and let's go. I see you on the next video.